to suggest the following. We know that when it comes to a name, the koichos hadnefesh, there's a lot of koichos hadnefesh which are in that name. We know that we name our children after people, at least in the Ashkenaz world. That's what we do, and a lot of times we name our children after family members, sometimes just tzaddikim, and with that, we expect, or there's some type of an expectation on some level that the child's going to carry those koichos hanefesh and perhaps even reach the same level of tzidkus as that other tzaddik reached. I wanted to there's one difference. There's one name that's different than any other name, and perhaps it's just in my family. It's the name Dina. And with the name Dina, it's not just we hope. It's not a hope. It's reality. Every Dina, at least in my extended family, they all have probably, if you were to think of what type of leadership would be required to change an Esav, what type of strength, what type of personality, how strong does your personality have to be able to transmit the Masorah over in a house, in Esav's house? How could you get it done? Probably similar to if you're coming into America for the first time from Europe when it's brand new. What type of person could really transmit the Masorah in a country like this? It would take a Dina. There's no question. Now it happens to be that in my family, the person who did it, her name was Dina. It was my father's mother. Her name was Dina. That happens to be, and all the people who were named after her also have the exact same strength as far as I know. There's a lot of them. There's numerous Dinas. And the assumption in the family is, if she's named after a strong-minded person, then the girl's gonna be like that. But perhaps there's more to it than just that. Because the real question is, what made the original Dina like that? The original Dina, the grandmother of the family, what made her like that? And perhaps, really, we have to go back to the very first Dina, Yaakov's daughter, Dina. Perhaps we have to go back to her. Let's read a little bit about Dina. Let's hear what Chazal have to say about Dina. This comes from Chabad.org. Dina was unique. She was gifted with a potent sphere of influence. Her charisma naturally attracted other people to take her lead. Dina was drawn towards other women, and even in a new environment, she was naturally social. Ultimately, she always influenced other people to become more spiritually sensitive. Those complete the words from Chabad.org. We will now go on to the next segment and continue to speak about Dina. The last 25 seconds came from Chabad.org. We will now move on to the next segment. Dina had an ability that no other person within the history of Klal Yisrael had. Dina had the ability to prevent an Amalek from forming in the first place. Dina, and only Dina, had the ability to change Esav, not just an ability, a potential that was so close to reality that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished Yaakov severely for robbing Esav from that opportunity to marrying Dina. It was almost as certain, according to Rav Yochanan Zweig, that Dina would have influenced Esav, since Esav already did half tshuva by the time he would have met Dina. In addition, Leah was Esav's zivug. Leah davened. She cried like anything, to such an extent that the Torah even describes that her eyes were differently. Her eyes looked differently than Rachel's because of all the tears that she cried. She cried that Hashem should not have her marry Esav. She knew Esav was her zivug, but with tefillah you could change her zivug. Hashem was not upset at Leah for davening that she should not have to marry Esav. The morning after Yaakov woke up, after the chasana, Yaakov asked Leah, "How could you do this to me?" Yaakov thought he married Rachel. The following morning, it was only then that he realized that he married Leah. The Das Zekanim says that Leah responded to Yaakov, "I learned from you, Yaakov. I learned you tricked your brother, you stole the blessings, so I tricked you." That's perhaps the push-up shot, but that's not really what's going on in the Das Zekanim. What Leah was addressing was something very serious. If you look at our history, we have 4 imahos. We have 4 mothers, but there's only 3 fathers. What happened to the 4th father? Why are there not 4 avos? And we know that Chazal tell us that in reality there was supposed to be 4 avos. Esav was supposed to be an av. It was supposed to be Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Esav. But unfortunately, because of bad decisions that Esav made through his bechira, he was no longer considered fit to be an av. More so when Yaakov took those blessings, the position of an av, Esav's av, the role that Esav was to play as an av was now transferred over to Yaakov. Yaakov now played the role of 2 avos. If he's to play the role of 2 avos, he needs to be married to 2 women. He needs to be married to both Rachel, which is the av that Yaakov was supposed to marry, and the av Esav. He was supposed to be married to Leah. He needed to be married to Leah now, since he's also playing the role of Esav. That's what Leah was telling Yaakov. If you didn't have the brachos, Yaakov, what she was saying, if you didn't have the brachos, I wouldn't need to be married to you. But you have the brachos now. You're playing the role of both an Esav and a Yaakov. You need both wives. You need Leah. You need me. And you're also going to need Rachel, which Rachel was a given. He was going to marry Rachel. So he needed both Leah and Rachel. We don't find that Hashem was ever upset at Leah for davening that she shouldn't have to marry Esav. Yet we find that Hashem is upset at Yaakov for not opening the box, for not letting his daughter marry Esav. Why was Hashem not upset at Leah, but he was upset at Yaakov? Could it be perhaps there was a difference between Leah and Dina? Maybe there was a major difference between the two. Could it be, perhaps, Dina had a certain koyach that Leah never had? And if that's in fact true, the question is, do we see that in the Psukim? Where would she have gotten this koyach from? To be continued.